Mic check, mic check. Check, 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 check. Check, check, check. Check, check, check. Check, check. Check. Mic check, mic check. And good afternoon, everyone. Herm Elenbaas, courtside here at the Fortin Center in Billings, Montana, as we get set for Rocky Mountain College Battlin Bear Volleyball. This is the second time this week that the Battlin Bears face one of our new teams in the conference. They started out with Carroll earlier in the week. Then they took a set off Bellevue, which is way up there in the national rankings, which had to be a good feeling for Rocky Mountain College. They did fall, but Bellevue was number 7 in the nation. And today they are facing number 24, Dakota State University out of Madison, South Dakota. That's a town about 40 miles north of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, in a town of about 6,100 people. And Dakota State University with an enrollment of just over 2,100 compared to Rocky Mountain College, which comes in with an enrollment of about 1,000. Well, we're just in front of this rare Sunday afternoon match here, and we are going to have some fun here this afternoon on Sunday afternoon. Let's take a look at our national rankings. The newest one just released on October 15th, Eastern Oregon. Still number 1, they're 20-0. Right behind them, Providence out of Great Falls and part of the Frontier Conference. They have been moving up in the national rankings. Never too far from the top this year, but they moved up to the number 2 spot as they are riding a 20-0 win streak. Dakota State, 13-6 coming in, and they will enjoy a 9-5 record on the year in the new conference that they are part of. And they fell to Bellevue, Nebraska a couple of games ago, but an excellent team here standing in the way of Rocky Mountain College, who's trying to win their first match of the year in the Frontier Conference. Rocky comes in 0-15. And Nash are on the complete schedule, 1-19. Their only win came in a 5-set thriller in college about 2 miles down the road on Rimrock Road here in Billings, Montana, as they took a 5-set match over the Yellow Jackets for their only win. Love to add to that here, but trying to improve every game they can. The last time these two teams met was back on September 13th. Dakota State was the winner, 3-0. Taking a look at a few of the highlights from that match, Rocky Mountain College was led by Josie West with 11 kills, and also with 14 digs. Zoe Elbert had 20 digs, the libero for the Rocky Mountain Battlin Bears. Caitlin Wood with 9 kills, hit a cool 429 in that long road trip to Madison, South Dakota. For the Dakota State Trojans on that prior game, Sophie Tuttle had 14 kills. 10 kills for Macy Wathen. Allie Bruflat had 8. And as a team, in taking down Rocky that night, they hit 242. The sets were thrilling. First set went 29-27, then it was 25-22, 25-14 as Rocky Mountain College fell away at the end of that one. Rocky Mountain College has partnered with Hotels for all 25-26 streaming. Based in Missoula, Montana, Hotels has been managing and developing lodging properties in the northwestern region for more than 30 years. With their partners and investors, they have developed and built hotels in Montana, Washington, and Idaho. They currently manage over 900 guest rooms, 22,000 square feet of conference space. Thank you, Hotels, for your support of Rocky Mountain College athletics. We are right ahead of the national anthem here and the start of this match. If you're watching on the Rocky Athletics YouTube channel, it'll be Dakota State to your left, wearing the blue unis, except for the libero, number 2, Kate Van Royen. She will be in the white jersey with the dark blue numerals. Rocky Mountain College, of course, to the right, and they are in their regular uniforms, except for Zoe Elbert wearing the libero's colors. We will step aside here for the national anthem and come back with our starting lineups in just a moment. So for the visiting Dakota State Trojans, they will go with the libero, Kate Van Royen from Dakota Dunes, South Dakota, 5'5" junior. Also Reagan Van Royen, a defensive specialist, 5'5" junior from Dakota Dunes. Maddie Langrock is the setter. She is from Ballaton, Minnesota, a 5'6" senior. Sydney Wathen, a 5'7" freshman from Rapid City. She plays DS. Haley Bruflat, a 5'9" sophomore from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. From Rapid City, it's number 9, Macy Wathen, the middle hitter, a 5'9" junior. Sophie Tuttle, a 5'9" outside hitter from North Sioux City, South Dakota. Lauren Cloth, a 6'1" middle hitter, a freshman from Brandon, South Dakota. And Tristan Maris, a 5'10" sophomore from Windham, Minnesota. She plays right side. The Dakota State Trojans are coached by Amy Veenhoff, and they are from Madison, South Dakota. For the home team, the Rocky Mountain College Battlin Bears, Lauren Rodacher, a 5'4" senior DS from Billings. Amelia Kissel, a 5'9" sophomore outside from Poland. Sadie Meyer, a 5'7" sophomore from Billings, plays right side. Zoe Elbert, a 5'7" junior from Kalispell, Montana, is the libero. Felina Mulder from Newtdorp, Netherlands, a 6' freshman middle. Ella Kincaid, a right side, a 5'9" junior from Billings senior. Caitlin Wood, a 5'11 junior from Eugene, Oregon, a middle blocker. Lindsay Lawrence, a 5'9 junior from Jordan, Montana. Kira Ban, a 5'6 sophomore from Huntley, Montana. Olivia Fouth from Stevenson, Washington, a 5'9 freshman. Meredith Marsh, a setter, 5'7 junior from Arlington, Washington. And we'll also be seeing Delane Lindeen from near Billings here at Huntley, Montana, a 5'5 sophomore DS. All set here at the Fortin Center on the beautiful campus of Rocky Mountain College. Boy, with all the trees around here, whoever gets to rake the lawn here of all those leaves is going to have a ton of fun with that. All these old trees on this longtime campus here at Rocky, and they're all shedding their stuff here right now. Beautiful leaves when they're looking great, but now it's the chore of the grounds crew to get those leaves mopped up. I think Dakota State, from looking at the pictures, has a similarly mature campus with probably the same issues. And sure makes fall beautiful for a time, and then it turns into, well, let's get this cleaned up. Herm Elenbaas, courtside at the Fortin Center. We get set to bring you this one. Marty Edgman, the up ref here today from Laurel, Montana. Husband Brent follows her to all these matches and provides that tender, loving care as a husband in supporting her. Does a great job. She does high school all over town. And common choice for the refs at the high school state tournament as well as the college tournaments that go on around here. It'll be Sydney Wathen, the liberos, or the freshman DS, getting set to go first here. At the service line, Dakota State has the first serve, and we are underway. Back to Zoe Albert. Marsh, Felina Mulder whips it back to Dakota State. That's off the block and down from the outside. And right off the back, a system kill for Caden Sapp from Volga, South Dakota. So 1-0 Dakota State University. And Sydney Wathen back to serve again. Middle of the court, sends it cross court, misses. We're tied up at 1. First service error of the game. Into the game for Rocky Mountain College will come Olivia Foth. And back to serve, Delane Lindeen. 1-1 tie, early going. First set, we're underway. Lindeen loads up the left hand, middle back, swept into the air. Here's the swing right to the floor. That's Macy Wathen. A no-doubter there as she terminated into the donut hole. 2-1, Trojans. Back to serve, Macy Wathen. Wathen, jump serve, middle back. Good up there for Zoe Elbert. Backside to Kincaid, cross court. Dug out by Reagan Van Royen. Pushed over the top. From the backside, Lindeen. Mulder gets the kill. She planks that one off of Reagan Van Royen, and Felina Mulder gets on the board with her first kill of the day. 2-2 tie. Zoe Elbert back to serve. Zoe, three-step approach. Middle back, Kate Van Royen. Good pass, cross court. Up by Olivia Fouth. Bump set back to Fouth. She's behind the 10-foot line. Tries to drop it in, but right there is Maddie Langrock. And the tip over the top falls for Reagan Van Royen. So Dakota State's Trojans take the lead 3-2. Back to serve, Maddie Langrock. She is the setter for the Trojans. Zoe Elbert, perfect up to Meredith Marsh. There's the quick, and Caitlin Wood puts it down for the tie. 3-3 tie. And back to serve, a local gal from Billings Senior, Ella Kincaid. What a proud tradition of volleyball that Billings Senior High School has. Up by Sydney Wathen to the outside, off the top of the block. Saved by Fouth, chipped over, and down it goes. The left-handed shot hits the floor from Rocky's Kincaid, and Rocky takes the lead. Ella Kincaid back to serve. 4-3 Rocky in the first set. Kincaid down the line. Popped up by Claude. Chipped over the top. Diving save for Lindeen. Cross court. Fouth. Block back. That's going to be a stop block from the middle from Lauren Clouth. A freshman middle blocker. First stuff block of the game for the Trojans. And in the game to serve comes Danica Witzel. Freshman outside hitter. She's a 5'7" freshman from Baltic, South Dakota. Here's Danica. Cross court. Zoe Albert on target with a pass. Kincaid sets up the backside for Wood, and it's down. Deflected off the back row defense of Dakota State's Danica Witzel. 5-4, Rocky. And back to serve comes Lauren Rodacker, another local gal from Skyview High School here in Billings. She played defense for the Skyview Falcons. She'll take it back to Witzel. Quick set in the middle, popped up by Kincaid, run down by Sadie Meyer. Free ball over the top for Rocky. Backside set, a smash. Termination time for Tristan Maris. And we're tied up at 5. That was a good swing from Tristan. And Kate Van Royen back to serve, the libero for these Trojans. He'll take it right down the line, overpass, out the back door on the put-away attempt on the front row for Dakota State. Opportunity goes away there as Maddie Langrock sends it long. Opportunistic kind of play, but Dakota State couldn't capitalize on that one. And back to serve, Kira Ban. Outside, will tip over the top, Hallie Bruffett. Meyer chips it off the top of the block in front of the defense, and Rocky leads by 2. Sadie Meyer, another local gal from Billings West High School. So Rocky has Skyview, West, and Senior, 3 of the top programs in the state here, with representatives on the squad. Cross-court swing. Maris gets covered that time. Kincaid to Meyer. Meyer picked off by Van Royen, and the dump shot goes. Macy Wathen drops it in the donut hole for the Trojans. And that gives the side out to the Trojans. And back to serve goes Reagan Van Royen. He is the older of the Van Royens that are on the squad. And Reagan sends it back to Kissel. Kissel gets the swing off the top of the block. That's a kill. Amelia Kissel, all the way from Poland to play here in Billings, Montana. I asked her before the game, how do you pronounce your hometown? When she did, I said, can I just say you're from Poland? It's one of those lots of consonants kind of names. Marsh, back to serve, roll shot over the top. Van Royen on the backside, off the block, tool off the block, and down it goes for Macy Wathen. She's had a hot start here. Macy getting her team going and keeping pace with Rocky in the first set, 8-7, is back to serve. It'll be Sydney Wathen. Middle back, Marsh, Mulder, that's down. Mulder got a little touch help on that, and it dropped in front of Reagan Van Royen. So Rocky spreading it around early. They've got 5 different gals with kills in the first 9 points. Setter making the Dakota State defense try to figure out where it's coming from, and a service error from Delaney Lindeen. Tied up on service errors at 1. Rocky has the 9-8 lead. As back to serve goes Macy Wathen. Wathen loads it up. Takes it back to Fouth. Tight to the net. Fouth gets the load. Pushed to the backside. Sydney Wathen's there. Big swing. Knocked back by the block of Mulder. Another load for Dakota State. Another push back by the block. They go to Fouth. Fouth is covered. Push to the backside. Lindeen is just in the right place. Here's Mulder. Right through the wheelhouse and on the floor by Felina Mulder, right past Macy Wathen. And Mulder opens up the first 10 points of Rocky with 3 attack points. And back to serve for the Battlin Bears, Zoe Albert. Albert, four-step approach, cross court. Perfect up to Van Rooyen. Swing from the outside is really good for Tuttle. Sophie Tuttle bombs away. Side out. Dakota State. Maddie Langrock will go back to serve for the Trojans. He's a lefty. Middle back. Boy, Marsh has to chase that one, and Rocky's not going to come up with that one, and we're tied at 10. Service error. No, that was just an error, and back to serve, Maddie Langrock. That's a good up by Lindeen. Wood pushes. Backside, would have been out, played by Lindeen. Bump set by Marsh. Back to Fouth. Fouth gets covered. Big swing, wide open corner. Down it goes for Tuttle. And Dakota State takes the lead. Not much of a gap over there, but that was too quick for Zoe Elbert to cover the space. And the setter, Maddie Langrock, back to serve. She will float it backside. Lindeen. Kincaid, cross court, right through the wheelhouse of Langrock, and Kincaid gets her second kill. And we are tied up at 11. Tight first set so far here at Rocky. Ella Kincaid back to serve for the Battling Bears. Floater right on the back line, swept into the air by Wathen. Outside off the top of the block and down for Sophie Tuttle. Dakota State retakes the lead. Got a little hand on the ball, just enough to float it over Zoe Elbert's outstretched hand. Danica Witzel back to serve. 12-11 Dakota State. Entertaining first set so far. There's Fouth. Meyer tries the donut hole. Tip, it's going to work. A late charge by Kate Van Rooyen didn't get there. And that goes to the floor off the hand of Sadie Meyer. Rocky on the year having trouble with kill efficiency. That's just been a tough thing for them. And anytime they have moved into a more normal range, they have played a lot better. That's a smash in the middle. And Lauren Cloth. Down it goes. Termination at the net from Lauren Cloth. Kate Van Rooyen back to serve, averaging 4.9 digs per set this year for the Trojans. And she will try the sideline and miss it. Service error for Van Rooyen. And we are tied at 13. Kira Ban back to serve for the Battling Bears. Setting up left side, goes cross court, tight to the net, slam down. Amelia Kissel says, take that. Cleanup duty at the overpass net by the gal from Poland, Kira Ban. Back to serve. Cross court. Kate Van Rooyen has it. Bump set to the outside. Flip to the back corner. Rodacker's right there. Kincaid back to Meyer. That's going to be tooled off the block and out. The hand of Hallie Bruflat was there, but she missed it. And that's going to go down for Sadie Meyer. Meyer now with 3 kills. Here's Kira Ban again. Rocky up by 2. Kate Van Rooyen backside this time. Nice cover there by Rodacker on the smash. Tipped over the top of Kissel. Van Rooyen goes backside again, right into the block again. This time off the net. Who's going to play it? Dakota State makes the play. Free ball by the Trojans. Setting up the attack for Rocky. Kincaid, Kissel off the block and down. A tool job at the net. Rocky leads by 3. Timeout Dakota State as Rocky has pulled out to the 16-13 lead. We'll be back after the break. throughout this season. It's been a tough year, but still attitudes have been great. And who knows, several games left before the Frontier Conference tournament. Maybe you can put something together and make some noise at the Frontier Conference tournament in Helena, Montana. Here's Kira Band out the back door on the serve. 16-14. So Coach Veenhoff gets a gift out of the timeout there on the service error. And back to serve, Reagan Van Rooyen, defensive specialist. And Reagan takes it back to Kissel. Quick set, Mulder splits the difference in the back row, and Mulder has another kill. 4 kills already in the first set for Felina. Well, it was a pretty exciting set win the other day before Bellevue kind of took over, but Bellevue fell in the first set to these Battling Bears. Meredith Marsh tight to the net. Felina Mulder gets a hand on it, pops it up at the net. Outside, Kissel jams it into the block and down. Macy Wathen was there. Kissel too strong. And the block attempt goes straight down on the Dakota State side of the net, 18-14. Meredith Marsh back to serve. Got some football players in the building watching, tries the short stuff. Then Royan gets there. Back row free ball for the Trojans. Here's Marsh, backside, Mulder off the block again. Once again, the blocker Wathen was there, and Mulder jammed it right through her. 5 kills now for Felina in the first set. Meredith Marsh back to serve. Then the Battling Bears take this home against another ranked team in the first set. Little push over the top. Wathen gets covered. Kissel tried to hit it out. Van Rooyen played it. Outside, Bruflat, knocked back by the block of Rocky. To the middle that time. Good up there by Zoe Elbert. She gets the cover. Marsh flips it over. Van Rooyen on the backside. Here's Bruflat. Down. Wathen, rather, with a kill. Gets the side out. Much needed for Dakota State. And finally, a side out for Dakota State. 19-15 now. Sydney Wathen back to serve. Zoe Albert chases her setter, Marsh. Here's Kissel, covered by Van Rooyen. Flip to the back corner. The corner store was open, and Wathen drops it in. And Wathen now with 5 kills in the first set. 19-16. You're Rocky Mountain College, you want a quick side out. Tight to the net. Marsh sweeps it out of there. Kincaid nearly behind the aerial. No complaints, so not going to check that one. The dig from the backside. Kincaid on the back line out the back door, and Dakota State's within 2. Hitting error for Ella. 19-17. Sydney Wathen back to serve. That's going to be out. So Rocky gets a service error out of Wathen. And a big side out here as Rocky heads into the 20s. Olivia Fouth back in the front line for the Battlin Bears. Pretty good front row rotation now with Felina Mulder, Fouth, and Kincaid. Kissel serves. Quick set. Oh, nice block at the net by Mulder again. She's everywhere. Another block. That time a double block by Kincaid. And that point goes to the Battlin Bears on a 4 call. And Mulder jacks another one home. 21-17. Amelia Kissel back to serve. I love her accent. Hadn't heard her talk yet till tonight, but she's got that Polish accent. Nice location on the serve. Dump shot. Stabbed into the air on the last gas. Pancaked by Albert. Flipped to the back corner, and right there, that corner store is open again. The ball drops in for a visit on the sweep shot. Great location for the Trojans. 21-18. Side out, Dakota State. And here's Macy Wathen, the middle blocker. Roll shot over the top. Perfect up to Marsh. Backside, Kincaid tries the tip. Didn't work. Right into the block for Sophie Tuttle. Back to the middle, and that's a miss. Hitting error. from Lauren Cloth takes Rocky to 22, 22 to 18. Tight first set. And Zoe Elbert back to serve for the Battlin Bears. Zoe tried to serve it out. Good play. That's off the block and down. Good push there by Maddie Langrock. The setter goes up, pushes it off the Rocky block for the down. 22-19. And Maddie will go back to serve for Dakota State. Maddie loads up the left hand, middle back. Kira Band's on it. That's a push off the block for Caitlin Wood. Kind of a sweeping, high-handed push for Wood. It works, whatever you call it. 23-19. And Ella Kincaid back to serve. Ella, service error. Tough spot for that. Let's see if Rocky can keep their momentum going after the service error. Dakota State with some life there after the gift. Danica Witzel back to serve for the Trojans. Danica backside, popped up by Zoe Elbert. Back set. Covered on the backside by Witzel. Here's the set. Short one. Zoe Elbert comes in. Outside. Fouth. Cross court. Nice play for Van Roen. Push at the net. Push back. And a back row blocker got in there for Dakota State, and Rocky is at set point, 24-20 in the first set. Amelia Kissel back in the game for the Battling Bears. Lauren Rodiker back to serve. First set point opportunity coming up here for the Battling Bears. Floater right to the backside. Van Royen at the net, goes backside, and she throws. And it's a 2-point margin, and Audrey Beaumont, coach of the Battlin Bears, calls the timeout, trying to preserve this first set win. We'll be back after the break. So what did Audrey Beaumont call in the timeout? I'm thinking Caitlin Wood here. Seen a few of these situations. They've come out of the timeout, not every time, but if they get a system opportunity, watch for number 11. That's my little prediction. I'll probably be proven wrong, but you got to have some fun with this job. Back to serve Van Royen. Middle back. They got the system. Outside it goes. Kissel. So they went to Kissel for that kill, and it didn't quite get there. That's off the block and down. Dakota State's within one. Allie Bufflat with the kill. 24-23. One more point. We're going to extra numbers on this first set. Here's Kate Van Royen. Short one. System opportunity. This time, Meyer knocked back by the block on the outside. They switch sides. Kissel off the block and down for the win. Amelia takes it home with a jam off the block, and Rocky wins the first set. We're back in 2.5. It's back at Rocky Mountain College. You know, if I wasn't the announcer for the Battling Bears, I would tell you that uniform color for Dakota State's my favorite color. But since I'm a Battlin Bears guy, I got to say it's the light tan. But good job on the uniform color and probably the team colors for Dakota State. Boy, aren't these first set numbers stunning here? How about for Rocky Mountain College, the international players, Amelia and Felina, combined for 10 kills, 5 each. How about this hitting number? 5 for 9 for Kissel, 556. 5 for 6 for Felina Mulder, 833. I had a gal from Bellevue hit 1,000 in the first set. She ended up over 700 for the match. For the Dakota State Trojans, 3 of 5 for Maddie Langrock, the setter. He hit 600. 4 of 7 for Wathen, 571. Macy Wathen. Sophie Tuttle, 4 of 10. 262 hitting efficiency for Dakota State. And for Rocky, has to be their best set of the year. They hit 372. We're underway, second set. Van Royen, backside, popped up by Rodacker. Outside to Kissel, goes to the short stuff. Swept into the air by Dakota State. Nice save there. Felina Mulder gets her hand on it, keeps it alive. Dump shot attempt. A stab with the left hand by Kincaid keeps it going. Van Royen goes right through the block of Mulder that time on the swing by Sophie Tuttle. So Tuttle gets the first point on the board for Dakota State. We talked about Rocky struggling with kill efficiency and just getting terminations. And boy, that first set was one you put on the game recruiter film. Here's Kincaid, cross court, covered by Van Royen. Cross court, Zoe Albert can't tame that one. Sophie Tuttle with her second kill out of the first 2 points for the Trojans. And back to serve Macy Wathen. Sophie's starting strong here for Dakota State. And back to serve Wathen, covered, perfect to the setter, Marsh, and Felina Mulder keeps her efficiency going as she gets the first side out for the Battling Bears. Mulder playing like an All-American here in the first set. And Amelia Kissel back to serve. Looping shot to the backside. Van Royen has the pass. Roll shot over the top. Cross court. There's Fouth. Fouth takes the swing. Little tip there. Overpass. Tip to the floor by Mulder. Mulder goes up, gobbles that one up at the net and terminates. We're tied at 2. It's the best I've seen Rocky play, except since that first set against Bellevue earlier in the week. And back to serve Kissel. Roll shot over the top. Handled by Wathen. Back row attack. Sweet back row attack from Sydney Wathen. He burned the back row defense for the Battlin Bears. And Maddie Langrock will go back to serve. From Ballatin, Minnesota, Tracy Area High School. Maddie sends it deep. Lindeen. Marsh out to Fouth. That's down. Fouth gets it past Sydney Wathen. First kill for Olivia Fouth. Tied up at 3. Zoe Albert back to serve. Left side, sinking shot. Handled beautifully by Tuttle. The set to the opposite side. Covered on the swing. Lindeen, there's Fouth again. 2 in a row for Olivia. Fouth couldn't get the kill down, and Rocky came back and got a kill of their own for the 4-3 lead. 3 ties in that first game. That's the first one that we've just broken there. Van Royen outside. Dig on the backside by Lindeen. Marsh goes cross court for Fouth. This time blocked back by Lauren Clouth. Van Royen, the quick. Zoe Albert with a stunning defensive play. Mired up Marsh. Back to Van Royen. Dakota State will try again. They get the kill that time from Tristan Maris. Dakota State kept pounding. Finally, they got a little touch as that one went out of bounds off of Zoe Albert. 4-4 tie. And back to serve, Danica Witzel. Witzel just over the net. Albert, overpass. Oh, there should have been a roofing call there, and there was. Lauren Clouth couldn't lay off that one. The roofing call goes for a Rocky point. Too hard to lay off those sometimes. Ella Kincaid back to serve. Herm Elenbaas at Rocky Mountain College on the Rocky Mountain Athletics YouTube channel. Perfect pass up to Van Rooyen. Outside. And Kincaid can't get the better of that one. Bruflat got on top of that one for a sweet kill there for the Trojans and a 5-5 tie in the second set. Kate Van Rooyen back to serve. Floater. Faust can't handle it. Ace. Van Rooyen. 6-5 Dakota State. Faust might have got a little bit of a late start on that one. And Van Rooyen again. Faust handles that one. Outside by Kincaid. Upset. Hung Sadie Meyer out to dry. No chance on that one as the set was behind the aerial, almost in Marty Edgman's shoulder. 7-5. Van Rooyen on a hot streak, pushing the point. Short one. Save. Kincaid saves it out of the net. Rocky gets the free ball. Here's the attack. Quick set into row 6. Seat 9 on the deflection on the kill. Dakota State pulling away 8-5. Following the lead of libero Kate Van Rooyen, pushing the serious points here. That short one was devastating, but somehow Zoe Elbert got there, and then a fluff by Sadie Meyer. Meyer lost focus. Audrey Beaumont says that's enough of that. Calls her team over, and we have a timeout with Dakota State leading 9-5. Sophie Tuttle was one of the leaders in kills for Dakota State in the first set. She's tacked on a couple of more in Dakota State's first 9 points of the second set. And out of the timeout, Kate Van Rooyen will continue to serve. We were tied at 5, so a 4-point run so far. There's a high one. This time Rocky gets there outside. Knocked back on the Sadie Meyer swing. Right back to Faust. Push to the corner. One arm stab. Faust gets another one. Third kill in this second set. And side out Rocky. 9-6. Faust just saw the location and tipped it back there just out of the reach of the charging defensive specialist. Here's Lauren Rodacker. And there she's going to get an ace out of confusion on the back row. Van Rooyen and Danica Witzel couldn't decide who was going to play that. Give the ace to Lauren Rodacker. 9-7, 2 in a row out of the timeout. Rodacker back to work, right on the back line. High bounce off the block. There's a kill from the right corner from Cloth. That's Tuttle, or Maris, rather. I'll figure it out, folks. Bear with me. You know, I talk about the great uniform color, and then I can't get the numbers straight. Life goes on, 10-7. And back to serve goes Reagan Van Rooyen. So Dakota State gets the side out after Rocky put together a couple of points. Kincaid, the middle, Wood, covered by Witzel. Outside, Brufflot gets covered. Through the block and down, Kissel reached back into the power zone and puts that away. You could just see her going extra couple of millimeters back to hit that sweet spot of the muscle, and she jammed it off the block and down 10-8. Kira Ban serves, floats it. Van Royen, backside. There's a deflection back from Kissel. They'll take it up on top to Brufflat. Stuff block by Sadie Meyer. And a love shove from Felina Mulder, celebrating that one. And Rocky's back within one after the timeout by Audrey Beaumont. Back to serve Kira Ban. And nobody plays it, and they didn't have to. That was out by several inches at least. So a service error for Rocky. But not by much. I guess it doesn't matter. 11-9. And Sydney Wathen will go back to serve for the Trojans. Sydney sends it out the back door. Service error back to the 1-point game. Service errors tied up at 4 apiece. Meredith Marsh comes into the game for the Battlin Bears. She'll take over at the setter position after serving this one up. She'll back up deep off the right corner. And Meredith responds with a service error of her own. So 2 service errors in a row, and it's still a 2-point game, 12-10. Macy Wathen back to serve. 5'9", middle blocker. Good serve. Kissel is under it. The quick to Mulder. That bounces high. 2 players make the up. Now to Tuttle, cross court. Marsh, backside. Kincaid, great play by Dakota State. Long run. Marsh isn't going to get there. And Dakota State's up by 3. And back to serve again, Macy Wathen. Macy floats across court. Kissel, high pass, and boy, that was close to a roofing as well. It goes back to Dakota State. Push at the net, and that leaves it in perfect kill position for Lauren Clough. Boy, everybody else had just come down. The ball bounces high and then to the floor. And I believe we're going to have a review. Yep, that's going to prompt a review, a challenge here, as Coach Beaumont wasn't too sure about what just happened right there. Wants to make sure that was a well-earned Dakota State point, and we'll be back. And the challenge is overturned. Point stays with Dakota State. Nothing ventured, nothing gained for Audrey Beaumont. 14-10, and back to serve Macy Wathen. Macy loads it up. Down the line, Kissel. Kincaid, back to Kissel, off the net. Sweet power on that one. Termination time for the gal from Poland. So side out after the challenge, and it's a 3-point game as Rocky takes the side out. And back to serve Amelia Kissel. Kissel off the right corner. She probably liked my accent too. That's always so unfair, you know. You like an accent, Tuttle drops it in. But, you know, in their ears, it's probably pretty funny listening to me too. 15-11. Dakota State up by 4, cruising through the mid part of this second set. Battlin Bears won the first one. Back to serve, Maddie Langrock. Lindeen, quick set, Mulder, cross court, popped up by Wathen. Outside, Tuttle, high off the block, saved by Rodacker. Marsh, outside, foul, sweeps to the corner. The setter, Langrock, makes the save. Tuttle back to work off the block of Kincaid and down. Sophie Tuttle, 16-11. Dakota State, their largest lead of the afternoon, 16-11. And Maddie Langrock back to serve. Goes off the net. What a tricky serve that was. And Fouth responds by putting it away. Big set for Olivia Fouth on the attack. Side out Rocky. I don't know how you can do that as a server, but she did it perfectly. The ball actually grazed the backside of the tape, and I don't know how Rocky made a play on that. Back to serve Zoe Elbert. Dump shot attempt wide open in the donut hole. And Langrock breaks the hearts of Rocky with that one. 17-12. And Danica Witzel back to serve. Danica, couple of settle me down kind of bounces. Overpass. Here comes the attack. Langrock, backside. Maris is covered off the touch on the block. Here's Kincaid cross court. Swept into the air by Langrock. Saved. And off the top of the block, covered by Lindeen on the backside. Here's Wood. That hits the floor. Caitlin uses the touch to drop it in the donut hole for the kill, 17-13. And back to serve for the Battling Bears. It'll be Ella Kincaid, part of a state championship team here at senior high about 3 years ago. One of my best, at least the best game I've called at the state tournament. Push back on the block. Dakota State has a play, but doesn't get over the net on the desperation attempt by Bruflat. And Rockies within 3. Ella Kincaid back to serve. Nice group of Dakota State parents made the trip to Billings. That's a pretty significant commitment, but means so much to these gals. Outside, Bruflat, swept into the air by Fouth. The back set to Meyer. Jam through the block and down. The block was there, and Meyer goes right through it. Timeout, Dakota State. Rocky has fought back to within 2 in the middle part of this set, trying to go ahead 2-0. We'll be back. Amy Bienhoff from Dakota State demonstrating, well, reminding her team how to close the block after that kill by Sadie Meyer. So Rocky within 2, 17-15, playing on the home floor, trying to deliver something to their fans. And Kincaid launches. Langrock covered. Fouth, nothing on that one. Set behind her. Langrock backside. Maris way out the back door. Rockies within 1 on the hitting error. And Amy Bienhoff wanted a touch there. Didn't get it. Thought it was a little bit too high on the Maris swing to even get close to a finger. 17-16 for the tie. Rocky Mountain College. Langrock sets up Tuttle. Haley Bruflat and the side out. Hallie Bruflat with a flip into the open spot, and it settles things down here for Dakota State, 18-16. Kate Van Royen back to serve, almost 5 digs per set. Outside, Meyer off the block and down. Rocky's back within 1. Rocky refuses to go away. And into the game comes Amelia Kissel. She's had an amazing game so far, along with Mulder, as the internationals doing their thing here in Montana, USA. Rodacker back to serve. Takes it down the line, swept into the air by Maris. Outside, Bruflat is covered. Bump set. That's a miss, and we're tied up. Rocky has fought back from being down by 4 or 5 maybe, and tied it up at 18. Some character shown there by the Battlin Bears. Now a chance to take the lead. Lauren Rodacker will see if she can get that done. Middle back, Van Royen. Quick in the middle, off the top of the net. Kincaid makes the play. Sadie Meyer gets a tip, covered by Van Royen. Right into the block, right back for the attack. Outside it goes. That never hit a touch. Up again, and that's a kill off the top of the block. And Dakota State takes the lead on the swing by Bruflat. So Dakota State gives up the tie, but not the lead. We're heading into the 20s. It'll be a big finish again for these two squads. Push by Reagan Van Royen. Outside, Kissel takes something off of it. That's not going to work that time. Langrock through the block, covered with a dive by Kincaid. Back to Kissel for the bomb off the block and down 19-19. Kissel's not being cheated on her swings here today. She is putting a hurt on that ball, and that's, boy, velocity is what it's all about. And in the game now, Hallie Bruflat. Can Rocky get the lead? The swing by Wathen is covered. They're going to set up Wathen again. And that dangles on the net, and Rocky takes the 2019 lead as that one balances on the net, crawls down the net, almost falls in the stands. So Rocky 20, Dakota State 19. Back to serve Kira Ban. Popped up by Van Royen. High bounce off the block. Rodacker takes a stab at it at the top of her swing. Felina Mulder tries the short one. Diving save for Dakota State. Opposite, Ella Kincaid with the dig. Swept out of the net by Ban. Meyer, backside. Witzel's there. Off the block and down. Bruflat almost got the scorekeeper on the deflection on that one. The two scorekeepers in front of me had to do their fastest move to get out of the way of that deflection. Well, you can't nod off and not pay attention where you're in their seats. 2020 vision on the scoreboard. Rocky and Dakota State having a great Sunday afternoon battle. Rodacker. Kincaid, Kissel, another jam through the block. And the muscle arm of Kissel is the answer for Rocky as Rocky takes the 1-point lead in the 20s. Can they hold it? They've won more than one set just one time this year in their 19 matches. A diving run there for Dakota State. Roll shot over the top. Rodacker is there. Marsh outside Kissel. This time takes something off of it. Tight to the net. Kissel gets the second one. First one she just put into play. Second one on the overpass came right back to her. And Amelia Kissel is having an awesome match. 22-20. Rocky 3 points away from going up 2-0 on what has been a very tough year for the Battlin Bears. Marsh back to serve. Floater. Van Royen. Langrock. Chip shot over the top, covered by Rocky. In the middle, Mulder pushes with the left hand. Langrock is there. Up ahead to Tuttle. Zoe Elbert with the dig. Back to Kissel. That's another kill for Amelia Kissel. Kissel all world here in this set, 23-20. We'll be back after the Dakota State timeout. 6 ties already in the second set, as Dakota State and Rocky really duking it out here through this second set and in the first set. And Rocky enjoying the feeling of being ahead in this one than a lot of the other stuff here so far this year. And now Audrey Beaumont calls a back-to-back timeout. So Amy Wienhoff goes back to work as coach, as does Audrey Beaumont. They're diagramming the last few points of this one and how the Battling Bears are going to win, or how Dakota State is going to perform the comeback. We're back. Can Rocky close it out for a 2-0 lead in this match? Marsh, cross court, right on the sideline. Langerock in the middle. Dump shot over the top, covered. Marsh, backside to Kincaid. Overpass, put down, but right there, Van Royen. And a flip to the corner, scores it for Tuttle. Side out, Dakota State. Rocky left that corner open, and Tuttle spotted it and nailed it. Back to serve Macy Wathen. Wathen, the jump serve. Middle back, Kincaid, 2-point game. Quick set, Mulder got the tip, and Rocky is at set point. Felina delivers. And Rocky has Dakota State at set point. Amelia Kissel, one of the stars of this second set from the attack, gets the opportunity to try to serve this one home. Floater backside. Van Royen is there. Up ahead. And she gets the corner. Tuttle with a big swing right through the back row defense. Right at the feet of the line judge. And Dakota State's not out of it yet. 24-22. Side out. Dakota State fights off the first set point. Back to serve Maddie Langrock. Poses the left hand down the line. Fouth gets the set. Can she put it away? Nope, she is stuffed. Lauren Cloth, too tall in the middle. 1-point game. That's 2 set point opportunities fought off by the Trojans. One more, and we're going to extra numbers. Langrock back to serve. Just over the net. She gets the ace. We're tied up at 24. Huge ace serve for Maddie Langrock, ties it up at 24. We're going to extra numbers. Maddie Langrock down the line. Fouth with the pass. That's off the top of the block. Tipped around. Dakota State's going to make the play. A little chip shot. Backside, Fouth. Blocked, and it's down, and Dakota State has come up with 3 straight points to have Rocky at set point. The block at the net. Now Rocky's turn to play the tight defense. Send this to a tie or fall away and call it 1-1. 25-24, huge comeback for Dakota State. Down the line, that's going to be an ace, and that's it. Fouth can't handle the serve. The ace finishes it up as Dakota State down big by 3 points heading into set point. Comeback for the win. And we're back after the break. In Missoula, Herc Hotels has been managing and developing lodging properties in the Northwestern region for more than 30 years. With their partners and investors, they have developed and built hotels in Montana, Washington, and Idaho. They currently manage over 900 guest rooms, 22,000 square feet of conference space. At Herc Hotels, they are dedicated to serving their people and properties, inspiring a culture of hospitality and delivering maximum value to their investors and partners. Thank you, Herc Hotels, for your support of Rocky Mountain College athletics and this broadcast on the Rocky Athletics YouTube channel. What a comeback. That's the way to finish a set if you're Dakota State, as they came up with 4 straight after Rocky had them by the throat. And they put away Rocky to tie this up at 1 set apiece. How about the internationals so far for Rocky? Kissel, 579, 11 kills, no misses, 19 swings. Felina Mulder, 8 of 14, 571. Kissel, 579. As a team, the Battling Bears still red hot on the attack, 326. They hit 283 in that one. For Dakota State, they hit 245. Led by Sophie Tuttle, 10 of 21. She hit 429. 8 digs for Kate Van Royen, and for Rocky, Lauren Rodacker with 9. Here we go with set number 3. Dakota State serves first, and an ace right off the bat for Sydney Wathen. What a finish there when it absolutely had to happen for Dakota State. No fun going down by 2 sets to none on someone else's favorite gem. Another tough finish there. Felina Mulder saves it temporarily. The set to the outside. Tuttle, one-arm stab there by Amelia Kissel. The quick is a miss. Kissel saves the day, and then the cloth miss ties it up at 1. Kissel showing us her defense and offense here this afternoon. She likes Sunday volleyball. It's probably Monday in Poland. 1-1 tie. Kissel shoots it down the line. Langrock has the good pass. Swing by Wathen is covered. Felina Mulder with the up. That's going to just get over the net, and at the net, Lauren Cloth hammers the nail. And Audrey Beaumont really wanted a roofing call. And is that going to be a challenge? I think it will be. So back to the challenge mode here, as that was a lot of hand over the net in Audrey Beaumont's mind, and they will check it on the video, and we'll be right back. Here comes the call, and Dakota State wins another challenge. So Audrey Beaumont looks surprised at that ruling. And Dakota State is successful. And Lauren Cloth says, phew. It wasn't a violation. And Audrey Beaumont still talking about that one. I was part of a match not too long ago where the opposing coach called a challenge, and then As soon as it didn't go the way of Rocky, then Audrey Beaumont called it. No, it was the other way around. Audrey Beaumont called the challenge, and then the other coach lost the challenge and called the challenge of the challenge. I'd never heard of that. Marsh pushes, covered by Langerock. Cross court, down it goes, 3-1. Tristan Maris got the perfect set and put it away. 3-1, Dakota State. And back to serve goes Danica Witzel, freshman outside hitter. Danica pushes it back to Foth, chases her setter Marsh. Foth way off the net, catches a tip, covered on the backside by Van Rooyen, and over the net it goes on the deflection, but it just fell out of bounds, and Dakota State with a quick 4-1 lead. Witzel back to serve. Dakota State playing with a new fury in this one. Here's Sadie Meyer off the block. Covered. Here's Mulder. Pushes right there is Langer or Van Rooyen. And that one goes Rocky's way. And I think Audrey might be close to a yellow card the way she has responded here. We'll see. She can simmer down a little bit. She sits down. That might help. 4-2. And in the game comes Lauren Rodacker to serve. So Rocky gets the side out. And back to serve, Lauren Rodacker. She'll float one backside. Van Rooyen pops it up, and the hitting error makes it 4-3. From the outside, Haley Bruflat hits it in the wrong side of the net. 4-3, Lauren Rodacker back to serve. For the tie. Lots of extracurricular suddenly part of this match. Langerock, the dump shot works. Boy, a lot of things going on, distraction, and that finds the floor. And we have a officials timeout. 5-3. Game has slowed down dramatically here. See what the check is as the crowd goes silent. Oh, just checking lineups here, so that's nothing major. Making sure the right server goes back. Avoids the out of rotation call. Into the game comes Caitlin Wood. Mulder will take a seat. And Caitlin Wood will take her place on the front line along with Marsh and Sadie Meyer. Rodacker and Zoe Albert switch places, so a lot going on here. Van Rooyen shoots it back to Kissel. Kissel's going to get the set off the net. Saved on the front row by Meyer. Swept out of the net. Meyer gets the load. Touch off the block. Covered by Van Rooyen. That's behind the aerial. 1 point game. A miss from Tristan Maris. No possibility of getting that one in. And we're going to see some newbies in the game as Gabriela Panzetta comes in, along with Kristen Mentink from Silt, Colorado, Rifle High School. 5-4, Dakota State. And Mentink will go back to serve. 5'7" sophomore. Right off the bench. Off the block, that's down. From the middle. As Langrock turns into a hitter and makes it fall. 6-4. And Dakota State on top. Reagan Van Rooyen back to serve. Van Rooyen, middle of the floor, takes it hard back. Amelia Kissel outside by the Mentink set. Roll shot over the top by Panzetta. To the outside to Bruflat. Stuff block for Panzetta. Right off the bench, right into the stat column with a solid stuff block on the outside. 6-5, Dakota State. And Amelia Kissel will go back to serve. And Rodacker had to wait for that substitution by Foth. Foth was chatting it up on the sideline. Not a good sign. Here's Langrock. Outside, Bruflat. Deflection right there with the cover is Kissel. At the net. Roll shot over the top by Fouth. Back to the outside to Bruflat off the block and down 7-5. Dakota State has cranked it up into another gear here in this third set. And in the game comes Delaney Lindeen for the Battlin Bears. Back to serve, Sydney Wathen. Wathen, a freshman. Twelve dribbles, she's ready to go. She's just killing time, waiting for the scorekeepers to figure things out. Official timeout here. Checking lineups again. Had a couple of subs come in last play and created some confusion on the front row. Taking kind of the rhythm out of this game a little bit. We will let them sort it out. Now we're ready. Sydney Wathen heads back to serve. Her team leading by 2, 7-5. Can Rocky get back the momentum that carried them to that first set win? Backside swing by Wood, almost hits the ground, saved. Free ball just past the aerial. Mentink pushed over by Wood, and she finds just inside the line. Rockies back within one. Caitlin Wood. Precision on that one, on that tip. And Kira Ban will come in to serve. Ban from Huntley, Montana. From the left side, sinker ball. Handled beautifully by Reagan Van Royen. Swept into the air by Lindeen, and then confusion. Lindeen ran right past Mentink. Mentink might have been in the wrong position. And that play turns into a 2-point lead for Dakota State. Back in the front row comes Lauren Cloth for the Trojans. And Maddie Langrock back to serve. Kind of interesting how she turns into a hitter sometimes on some plays. You know, that number, I might be wrong on that. That's Wathen. I get that 4 and that 9 mixed up. So Macy Wathen gets set to serve. Crowd noise at a minimum here while another check of lineups. Could tell a joke or something if I knew any. This has been really slowed down the rhythm of this game. Probably a necessary part of it, but when you like to get into the flow like fans do, players and even yours truly, it kind of shoves a monkey wrench into that. Okay, let's play. Macy Wathen back to serve for Dakota State. Rocky down by 2, down the line. Foth with a good play. Mentink backside. Panzetta can't get it over the net. It's 9-6. That set was too low. Mentink did not get it high enough for Gabby Panzetta. You want to have your big swing, you got to have those hitters know where that set's going to be, and that was too low. Long run from Mentink. Little roll shot over the top by Fouth is covered. Suddenly the attack for Rocky has gone south. Fouth outside to Panzetta. She goes to the tip. One-armed into the air on the front row by Langrock. Sophie Tuttle gets the kill on a shot that did not have much on it. And boy, Audrey Beaumont needs a timeout. Her team has come a little discombobulated here, and right on cue, there it is. Dakota State has moved out by 4, and we'll be back after the break. Well, one of the reasons that things got a little bit messed up rhythm-wise is Ella Kincaid is sitting on the bench with her shoe off. She's got some kind of ankle injury and not available. She's part of that two-setter combination for Rocky. So Menting coming in for the laid-up Ella Kincaid right now. That's taken some of the rhythm out of the Rocky Mountain attack. And back to serve Wathen. Rocky needs a side out. Here's Menting to the outside. That's down the net, saved out of the net beautifully by Tuttle. And a net violation by Tuttle gives Rocky that side out. South got that deflection that goes parallel to the net, and the momentum that is required to get to the net by Dakota State caused that net violation. Meredith Marsh, we'll see how this changes things. She's the regular setter option. Nice pass on the outside, and the dump shot works for Langrock. Another heartbreaker for Rocky as Langrock sees that, spots it, hits it. Into the game comes Tristan Maris for Dakota State. And Maddie Langrock back to serve. You don't get to 13-6 without having some comeback in you, and that's what Dakota State is doing right now, having tied it up. Here's Sadie Meyer. Catches block, but right there, Van Rooyen, cross court, splits the difference. Tristan Maris puts it away in the back corner, 12-7. And Dakota State has their swagger back here. Boy, they were so close to falling back 2-0. They had the big comeback, and since then it's been all Dakota State. Here's the attack. Faust gets it down. Olivia puts it away. Sinker ball, and Langrock couldn't get to that one. In the game, Lauren Rodacker for the Battling Bears. Lauren will go back to serve. And once again, checking things out with the scorekeeper. Referees earning their money here today. Solving a lot of problems. Checking rotations. Looks like Ella is dealing with ankle injury. Got an ice bag right on that part of the ankle that swells up nice and big when you turn it. Most of these gals are wearing ankle wraps, of course, ankle braces. But even that can't solve every problem from a health perspective. It's like all those football players on the line that wear these huge braces, but then, you still see the injuries. Someone steps on you or whatever else, you still see players going down in spite of every effort to keep that from happening with the right equipment. And this match is slowed down to a crawl. 4-point lead. Dakota State trying to move out to a 2-1 lead in sets. They are up by 4. And if you're on, if you want some entertainment, watch the bench press of a player going on Dakota State sideline. Haven't seen that one before. That's pretty creative. Good workout for the subs. Still looking. Up ref had to come down and participate in this decision-making process. A lot of fans here opting out of NFL football on TV on this Sunday afternoon to enjoy volleyball. Got some popcorn going, everything else. And here we go, a bicycle move from Dakota State. That's creative sideline fun for Dakota State's Trojans. What's next? At least they have some entertainment. Okay, what are we doing here? Jump rope? Jump rope, maybe? We're going to swing this young lady. Just don't let go. Oh, it's going to be a hurdle thing. Here we go. Okay. we'll just let those actions speak for themselves. Pretty talented sideline there for Dakota State. They are enjoying themselves. They're the ones with the 13-6, 9-5 record in the top 25. Little different look on the other side is Ella Kincaid getting tended to from the training staff. And now we're going to see Olivia Fouth go back in. And Marty Edgman says, let's play. She will walk across and climb her ladder, and hopefully we'll be back up and running here in Billings, Montana. Hoping it's nothing worse than an ankle sprain for Ella Kincaid. You know that people always say a sprain hurts more than a break. Well, as someone who's had both, I think they hurt pretty bad, each of them. Let's see if I have a personal story to tell. No, you don't want that. Let's take a short break. We'll be back. And as soon as I said that, we're almost ready to go as Marty Edgman climbs the officials' ladder. And Rocky will serve. And back to serve Amelia Kissel. See if we can get some fun going back in this one with some continued play for more than a couple of points. Back to serve Amelia Kissel. She'll send it deep and out. Out of all that, Rocky gets a service error. 6th one of the afternoon. Dakota State with 4. No distractions there for Amelia Kissel. Just kidding, there were 1 or 2. And in the game to serve for the Trojans, it'll be Danica Witzel. Freshman outside hitter. And Witzel loads it up, sends it down the line. Fouth with a perfect pass. Backside, Meyer with a missed block. Boy, that was a golden opportunity for a block, but the square-up thing didn't happen that time, and Rocky scores. They're at 9, 13-9. Dakota State. Meyer scores the kill. Zoe Elbert back to serve. Elbert off the right corner. Whistles it to the middle back. Up by Witzel. Maris gets the kill into the corner. Lindeen tried to get there, but got there a smidgen late, and it's 14-9. Side out, Dakota State. Kate Van Royen back to serve. Van Royen, sinker ball. Nice save for Ban. The put down, no good for Wood. At the net, catches the block. Here's the attack for Rocky. Outside Fouth. Fouth, cross-court deflection from Van Royen. Covered with a long run by Langrock. Back to the attack. Sadie Meyer finds the line with a tip. And Rocky side out, 14-10. Gabby Panzetta and Mentink in the game. Panzetta from North Vancouver, British Columbia, so another international player. 14-10, back to serve, Kristen Mentink. Rifle High School. Middle back, Maris has the up to the front row. It's going to bounce off Bears and hit the floor on the swing from Blue Flag. 15-10, and Dakota State just trading points right now with Rocky up by 5. Reagan Van Royen back to serve. Van Royen, short one. Middle, Wood gets the deflection, and it drops on the line. Wood right into the block, and that was perfectly placed on the down off the block, and it's Dakota State's point. 16-10. Reagan Van Royen back to serve. Cross court. Fouth fights that one off. Here's Panzetta. Into the block, and down it goes. Another stuff block. And that time it's Macy Wathen. 17-10. All Dakota State in a match that has suddenly gone without any rhythm at all. It was really flowing well with great play, and the interruptions kind of slowed things down here. See if we can get it back. Slide set. Big swing by Wood. Covered by Van Royen. Cross court, Zoe Albert. Mentink backside to Panzetta. Push off the heel. Easy cover. Out to the backside to Bruflat. Dug out by Lindeen. They're going to load up Fouth. What a great dig there by Reagan Van Royen. And a net violation on Panzetta. 18-10. Reagan Van Royen took a blast and saved it, which turned into the Trojan point, 18-10. Dakota State cruising toward a third set win here. Reagan Van Royen back to serve. Wow, tough serve there. Rocky saw it coming. Here's Fouth, cross court. Knocked away. Back row attack for Witzel. Covered. Here's the push, just past the aerial. Attack into the back corner. Wathen's covered. Up ahead to Fouth. Fouth misses out the back door, 19-10. Trojans up by 9. Van Royen will serve. Reagan gets covered. Long run. Mentink. Free ball. Setting up the attack. Langerock. Backside. Stuff block for Fouth and Wood. So Rocky finally gets a point. See if this can fire them up a little bit to claw their way back into this third set. Not a lot of happy faces on Rocky that were there just about a set ago. And back to serve, Lauren Rodacker. Lauren, middle of the floor, wearing the pink hair ribbons. Outside, Bruflat with the kill. Zoe Elbert got part of that ball, but not enough to send it back. 20-11. Sydney Wathen back to serve. Freshman DS. Sydney floats it middle back, a little bit of a shank. That's an ace for Wathen. Rocky defense not sure what to do with that. Audrey Beaumont calls her team over. Her team needs a pep talk. 21-11. We'll be back. So out of the timeout, Rocky running out of time in this third set, down by 10. And Dakota State just 4 points away. Herm Elenbaas at Rocky Mountain College. Here comes that short serve again. This time Kissel gets there. Wood set is too low, can't do anything with it. The little tip over the block, diving people, and the diving person kept the cover from getting there. Zoe Elbert slid right between the two potential people to make the play. 22-11, Dakota State. Sydney Wathen will launch another short one. A lot of different kind of serves coming from this Dakota State team, and Caitlin Wood puts it away. A rare kill in this third set for Rocky from Caitlin Wood. New player in the game for Rocky, that'll be Tessa Appel. She is from Spokane, Washington. She's number 8. She will take her place in the middle of this one. Middle front row. So it's Kissel, Mulder, and Apple. I say it both ways. I'll get one of them right. To the outside for Dakota State. Nice diving save for Kissel, who's just played a terrific match here this afternoon. Langrock, bump set to the outside. Save from Kira Ban. Apple covered by Langrock. The set for the back row attack. Wathen back to Kira Ban. The dump shot attempt not going to work that time on the tip. Back row for Wathen. Kira Ban picked off by Mulder. Pushed to the backside. Sydney Wathen gets there. Pushed to the back corner, and that back corner is friendly to Dakota State. They're at 23. The sweep to the back corner. Wathen makes it work. 23-12. All Dakota State. Substitutes everywhere here as back to serve goes Macy Wathen. Wathen steams that one back to Kissel. She fights it off, makes the play. Mentic up to Apple, right into the block. Cloth, nice up, and then push past the block by Apple. Sophie Tuttle is covered. Kissel pushes over. Tuttle is there. Back to Tuttle on the set. Blocked down, but a good cover by Dakota State. Into the back corner. Rodacker makes the play, falling away. Tessa Apple pushes cross. Another dig for Rodacker. Up ahead, Kissel. Kissel. One-arm stab by Wathen keeps it alive for Dakota State. Rodacker. Mentink. Kissel. Another big swing. Wathen is there again. And Cloth is going to get the kill. And Dakota State is at set point. And Ella Kincaid's in a lot of pain on the bench with that ankle. Probably can't wait till this one's over so she can go get some more work done on her ankle. 24-12. Back to serve. Macy Wathen. Macy. Short one. Mulder picks it off. Mentink backside to Apple off the block. Picked off by Langerock on the front row. Tuttle gets the load. And a net violation on Rocky ends the third set. Mercifully ends the third set. And 25-15, 14 rather, in the third set. We're going to set number 4. And Rocky needs this one or their Sunday afternoon is finished for now. By the way, our next streaming from the Fortin Center will be coming up November 4th as Montana State University Billings will come back for the Rimrock rivalry. We'll be back. leads the way for Zoe Elbert. Set number 4 coming up. Rocky needs this one. See if they can get back what they had in the first 2 sets. And that's going to help as Cloth passes that to nobody. And Rocky leads 1-0. Well, Ella Kincaid is one of those gals that's the glue of this Battlin Bear team. And with her out, things have really gone downhill. Chipped over the top by Tuttle, saved out of the net. And that set goes to nobody. We're tied up at 1. Setting error. Can't do anything with that one as the set was past the line, the head up ref. And back to serve, Danica Witzel. Crutches going over to Ella Kincaid. That's always a bad sign. Tissel, Marsh, quick Mulder. Blocked back by Cloth. Mulder sets up Meyer. She goes higher on it. Langrock is right there. Backside, Maris. One-armed over, but first a lift is called, and Dakota State leads 2-0, or 2-1. Maris gets that kill. And back to serve, Danica Witzel. Danica, middle back, catches the net. Service error for Witzel. We're tied up at 2. Number 2 back to serve. That's Amelia Kissel having the best match so far for hitters from Rocky in this match with Dakota State. Cross court, fought off by Witzel. Langerock, backside, Maris, covered by Marsh. Bump set, Meyer. She tools it off the block of Cloth and down. Sadie Meyer gets the lead for Rocky. Cloth just a little bit off center on that square up to block. She loses the block out of bounds. Solid hand on it, though. And back to serve Amelia Kissel, Rocky leading. Sinker ball. Van Royen, there's that dump shot again. That's going to help Langrock's numbers. It's already got 8 kills from the center position. So add 1 there, make it 9, and we're tied at 3. Kate Van Royen back to serve for the Trojans. Middle back, Lindeen, Marsh, shoot set. Blocked back by Dakota State. They try Meyer. Meyer gets another kill. Another missed block attempt for Dakota State from Hallie Blufont. 4-3, Rocky. And back to serve for the Battling Bears, Zoe Elbert. Had 2 Zoes in the game the other night. Zoe ended up serving to Zoe from Bellevue several times. There's a shank. Save from behind the aerial. Beautiful play for Dakota State. Out to Foth. Mulder, that's Wood, catches the back half of the line with that ball. It's 5-3. Caitlin Wood, opportunistic play there in the middle for the Battling Bears. And some good things happening for the Bears early in this one. Zoe Elbert back to serve. Herm Elenbaas in Billings, Montana. On the Rocky Athletics YouTube channel, sponsored by Irk Hotels. And Maris puts some heat on that one for the kill. 5-4, side out Trojans. Back to serve Reagan Van Royen. She'll get the location call from Amy Veenhoff. Van Royen down the line. Foul, perfect. Backside, Meyer. Left-handed through the tip of Meredith Marsh. And there's Langrock again. She is quite the weapon. We're tied up at 5. Van Royen back to serve. Popped up on the back row by Lindeen. On the front row, Faust goes to the backside of Dakota State. That's jammed into the block. It's going to find the floor. Haley Bruflot got a big swing on that one for the kill. And Dakota State with the lead. Amy Veenhoff helping out with ball duty there. And Reagan Van Royen back to work at the service line. Just got their first lead back. Backside Meyer catches the block. Stabbed into the air by Van Royen. That's way out the back door by Bruflot. And no touch. You know they're going to call for it anyway, and we're tied up at 6. Oh, they're going to do a challenge on that one. So first challenge of the day for Dakota State, this time to challenge that touch at the net, and we will take a short break. And the challenge fails from Amy Veenhoff. Got to try it. And that was clearly over the hands of the block. And the point goes to Rocky for the 6-6 tie. Here's Sadie Meyer back to serve. She'll explode into the serve, try to drop it in. Flipped over with a left hand, but missed. Give the ace to Sadie Meyer. And Rocky takes the lead back at 7-6. Sadie back to work from the service line. Launches, middle back, popped up by Kate Van Royen. Up ahead to Haley Bruflot. Zoe Albert is under that dig. Meredith Marsh loads up Fouth down the line. Perfectly placed Van Royen. A flip to the backside. Lindeen right there. Meredith Marsh to Sadie Meyer. On the back line, Witzel makes the play. Up ahead to Haley Bruflot. Knocked back. Pushed down by Wood. Doesn't work. Wood. Fouth. Boy, great defense for Dakota State this time. Bruflat pushes. Marsh, backside to Wood, and way out the back door on the slide set. Tied up at 7. Some great defense there by the Trojans on those straight down swings. When you see that cover come up so fast, that's some pretty good court awareness there for the Trojans, and they made a couple of those plays in that sequence. Back to serve, Sydney Wathen. Wathen, little 4-step hopper, back to Lindeen. Bump set to the outside, Fouth. Knocked back, out of bounds. Fouth scores the kill. Rocky leads by 1. The Dakota State block loses that one. And in the game to serve comes Lauren Rodacker, sporting the pink ribbon for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Rodacker shoots it middle back. Langerock, Sophie Tuttle. Down it goes. Can't get over what a jack of all trades on the attack this Langerock gal is, as she has got 9 kills in this set from the center, in this match from the center position. Macy Wathen, the set, big swing, stabbed into the air by Kissel, popped up. There's Marsh with a free ball to the backside, run under by Macy Wathen, and Rodacker can't get to that one on the swing from the middle. Cloth gets it down. And Dakota State takes the 9-8 lead. Macy Wathen back to serve. Wathen, they go to that short ball. It's worked several times. Backside, Wood catches the block, slows it down. Langerock in the middle. Cloth gets covered by Rodacker. That one crawls over the net on its own volition. Outside to Kissel, high block. Run down by Van Royen. Tip over the block. Nice cover there, Boraki. Push from the backside. Tough angle, and Rodacker gets covered. Sophie Tuttle gets it away, and a 2-point lead for Dakota State. Kept working Tuttle, and Tuttle finally delivers. Sophie Tuttle, a 5'9" sophomore from Sioux City. And Langerock back to serve. Ace for Dakota State. There's my 4 and 9 mix up again. That's Macy Wathen with the ace. Dakota State trying to pull away, up by 3 in the fourth set. They win this one. They're back on the bus, heading down I-90. And the service error. Kept trying that short one. Finally, one of them burned them. As it comes up too short, hits the wrong side of the net. Kiraban back to serve for the Battling Bears. Kira shoots it back to Van Rooyen and pushed to the floor. Guess who? Langrock again. What a talented player Langrock is on attack and setting. Boy, she is a clutch person to have on your team, and she's showing us that today here at the Fortin Center. 12-9, Dakota State. Maddie Langrock down the line. Myers pops it up. Marsh with a bump set. Nothing on that one. Easy cover. Langrock backside for the hammer. The nail time for Maris. Maris gets on top of that one and takes a little paint off that sideline with that sweet swing. 13-9. Maddie Langrock back to serve. Senior setter. Short one again. Mulder picks it off. Marsh tries the on one. Doesn't work that time. Tuttle gets the load. It's behind her. Rodacker makes the play. Backside Kissel. Boy, the twister is covered by Tuttle. That's set for the back row attack off the top of the block. Rodacker on the dig. Cross court to Kissel. She takes the tip approach to the front row. Maris. Sadie Meyer with the dig. Push at the net. That's on the floor. Mulder wins the push. Big side out for Rocky. Dakota State was perfectly content to run off and hide with this fourth set. Rocky's certainly not out of it if they can get their first set heroics going again here and tie it up at 2. Marsh, sinker ball, overpass, put down by Kissel. It's the Internationals back-to-back. First Mulder, then Kissel. And Rocky scores 2 in a row. They're within 2 in this fourth set. Meredith Marsh whistles that out the back door. 7th service error for Rocky. Side out, Dakota State. Danica Wetzel back to serve for the Trojans. Danica, middle of the floor. Kissel on target with the pass. The quick to Mulder, knock back. Marsh gets a hand on it, keeps it alive. Free ball, doesn't get to the net from Zoe Elbert. Wow, wide open free ball, not enough on it to get over the net from 15 feet away. 15-11, Dakota State. Danica Wetzel. Kissel, Marsh, Kissel, right into the block. Cloth gets covered. Free ball by Sadie Meyer. Out the back door. So free ball trouble for Rocky. Spots Dakota State a 5-point lead. And Aubrey Beaumont has to call the timeout. See if she can summon another comeback from her girls. And we'll be back. You're watching the Battling Bears, brought to you by Irk Hotels and streaming live on the Rocky Athletics YouTube channel. I'm your commentator, Herm Elenbaas. Grew up about 60 miles from Madison, South Dakota, near Rock Valley, Iowa. And back to serve Danica Wetzel. Try to keep the pain going here for Rocky. There's Meyer. What a nice cover for Lauren Rodacker. She got under a point-blank rejection and made it kept it going. Tip behind the block. No go that time. Haley Bruflack misses. Side out Rocky. She didn't quite get all ball. She got kind of a spinner touch on that one and dropped it just outside the near line. 16-12. Amelia Kissel back to serve. She'll set up in the right corner. 5 bounces to get ready. Now launches cross court. Langerock, backside. That's down. Maris, another kill. 17-12. Rocky won the first one, 25-23. They had Dakota State 24-21. Then Dakota State scored 5 straight points to keep Rocky from taking a 2-0 lead. And it's been all Dakota State since then. Felina Mulder gets a tip off the block. Cover to the backside by Witzel. Up ahead to Bruflat. Off the block and down 18-12. 6-point lead for Dakota State. They have about a 700-mile trip down I-90 here the rest of the day, unless they're staying in town. Marsh loads up Fouth. The block has been figured out by Dakota State. They were leaking a few out the side, but they have gotten squared up and turning that block back in. That time, Tristan Maris with the stuffer. 19-12. Kate Van Royen back to serve. And that was right on the back line. Zoe Elbert said, I'm going to watch this one to the floor, and she made the wrong call. 20-12, an ace for Kate Van Royen. It's all over but the final score, if you're allowed to say that in volleyball. Middleback, Lindeen, Marsh, outside Fouth. Fouth with a sweet kill just outside the 10-foot line. There you go, Herm. Rocky got a system kill there and a sweet finish for Olivia Fouth. 20-13. And Zoe Elbert will go back to serve. Zoe floats it. Backside, Cloth with a good pass and a hitting error. Dakota State gives one away, 20-14. Zoe Elbert. Dakota State 5 points away from their 14th win of the year. Middleback, Langerock, the tip, wide open donut hole for that tip shot on the flyer in the middle from Macy Wathen. Maris will come out of the game, and into the game comes Reagan Van Royen. 21-14. Megan, back off the right corner, will put this in play. A Whistler down the line. Fouth had trouble with it, gets it back. Cross court, long run, swept out of the scorer's table beautifully by Haley Bruflat. Here's Marsh, backside, Meyer, knocked back, Meyer with a cover. They go to the backside for a free ball from Zoe Elbert. Langerock gives the quick to the middle, covered on the backside by Lindeen, and Fouth gets knocked sideways, but right to a teammate, and out the back door on the back row attack. Witzel gets an opportunity to try the back row attack, and she comes up empty on that one. Sadie Meyer back to serve. Rocky within 6. Meyer, floater, Langerock takes it outside to Bruflat. The block is covered. Fouth, Witzel, Langerock, Lindeen with a dig. Fouth, just past the block. Down it goes. Olivia keeps Rocky's hopes alive. They're within 5. Olivia drops it just between the defenders on the line for the sweet little tip. And back to serve Sadie Meyer. Whistles that one over. Langerock with a flip to the backside. Lindeen sees it coming. Marsh, back row to Sadie Meyer. Covered by Langerock. Up ahead, Bruflat is covered. Out to Fouth. She's covered that time. Langerock in the middle. That's off the block. One-arm stab. And the cover doesn't get there after Lindeen made a play. Give the kill to Macy Wathen. And Dakota State's within 3 of the bus ride home. Maybe they flew. I'm not sure. Sydney Watson back to serve, trying to get her team 1 point closer to a 10-5 Frontier Conference record. Macy deep back. Elbert pops it up. Has to be covered. Here's Fouth with a kill that ends up being covered. Out to Tuttle for the hitting error. 22-17. Back to the 5-point deficit. And Kissel will come back into the game for Lindeen, take her place on the front row. And Rodacker will come in for Olivia Fouth. Rodacker looking for something to serve. Nobody can figure out what happened to the ball. First a challenge. So another challenge. This is the most challenges I've called this year, and we're going to take a short break. Right now it's Dakota State 22, Rockies 17. We'll see if that score holds. And that goes to Dakota State. Net violation on Rocky. So Dakota State 23, Rocky 16, fourth set. And back to serve Sydney Watson. They'll be heading back to Madison, South Dakota. Get on I-29 in Sioux City and head north. Fought off by Albert, perfect to Marsh. Foley, that's Wood. That had to feel good for Wood. She got good wood on that one, so to speak. Side out Rocky. And Lauren Rodacker will come back in to serve. Rocky down by 6. Very few points to give here for Dakota State as they're within 2 of wrapping this one up. Rodacker, middle back, popped up by Van Rooyen. Tuttle catches the block. That slows it down, drops it in front of Rodacker for set point, match point. 24-17. Lauren Cloth back in the game for the Dakota State Trojans, and Aubrey Beaumont calls the team over. 24-17, timeout on the floor, set point, match point coming up for Dakota State. Number 24 in the NAIA, poised to add a victory to their season totals. We'll be seeing them back in Montana for the Frontier Conference tournament in Helena in November. Outside set, Kissel, beautiful swing from Amelia Kissel. Called in the timeout. Let's set up our gal from Poland, 24-18, and Kira Ban will come in to try to keep it going as Rocky fights off the first set point, match point. Kira Ban back from the left corner, floats it over the top. Good pass from Watson out to Tuttle, knocked back on the block of Marsh, dump shot, sliding save from the backside, back to Kissel. That's on the floor, 2 in a row for Kissel. Amelia trying to lead her team back, 24-19. 2 set point match points fought off for the Battlin Bears. Here's Kira Ban. No mistake time here for the Bears. Out to Tuttle. In the back corner, that falls. And Tuttle finishes this up 25-19. as Dakota State keeps their record going here as they win at the Battlin Bears home court at the Fortin Center, 25-19. We'll be back to wrap this up in a moment. So Dakota State spots Rocky, a one-set lead, almost goes to 2-0 against, or 0-2 against Rocky, but comes back with a big comeback. That turned it around for Dakota State. They win 3 straight sets and put away the Battling Bears for the 19th time on the 20th time on the year. So 1-20, the Rocky Mountain Battling Bears are now, and for the Dakota State Trojans, they moved to 14-6, 10-5 in conference play. Let's take a look at our final numbers. Defensively, Kate Van Royen with 21 digs, 14 for Sydney Wathen, 13 for Danica Witzel. Maddie Langrock, boy, what a nice match she had. 11 kills in 18 swings, 1 miss. She hit .556. She had 4 aces. And in the assist department, see if I can find that on my sheet here. Not seeing it here, so I will have to guess on that. She had a whole page full of assists. As a team, 261 on the kill efficiency for Dakota State. Here's their numbers for the day. They hit 262 in the first set, 245 in the second, 267 in the third, and their highest kill efficiency of the day in the fourth set at 275. Led by Sophie Tuttle, 17 of 39, just 1 miss on the day, hit .410. Macy Wathen, 11 of 26, 346. Haley Bruflat, 11 of 38, 105. Maddie Langrock, boy, what a nice day for her, 11 of 18, 556. And she's our setter, folks, for Dakota State. For the Battling Bears, they ended up hitting 213 for the day, as in that last set they hit 152. Pretty nice first 2 sets, though, when they hit 372 and 283. Amelia Kissel, 14 of 35, no errors, 400. Sadie Meyer, 9 of 28, 179. Felina Mulder, 9 of 20, 450. 17 digs for Zoe Albert. Lauren Rodacker was 16. 8 kills for Caitlin Wood, 250. 9 kills for Olivia Fouth. And as a team, the Battling Bears hit 213 on the afternoon. 16 digs also for Delaney Lindeen. In the first set, 25-23 Rocky, then it was 26-24 Trojans, 25-14, and finally 25-19. That's going to do it for Sunday Volleyball. I'm Herm Elenbaas. So long, everyone.